All right. We are going to cover BMNR Shareholder Day live on this channel. They actually pushed out the start time slightly. It's 4:45 Eastern. So it's going to start in about 15 minutes or so. I wanted to go live. I think my camera's not even straight. I wanted to go live anyways, a little bit ahead of the annual shareholder meeting and talk about my thoughts. Of course, the market is officially closed. BMNR closed down over 5.5%. Largely, the market sold off on the second half of the day. So I don't think it's necessarily BMNR's fault specifically because other names also sold off. SoFi sold off, Robinhood sold off over 7%, almost 8%. And right now, BMNR is up about almost 1% in after hours in anticipation of the shareholder day. So this is being held at the Wynn, Las Vegas. And BMNR is going to be covering this on their X channel. They did release this this post a couple of hours ago, or a couple of minutes ago, I should say. And let me share it with you guys. So here they say the live stream for our shareholder meeting will start at 4:45 Eastern time. Link below, and of course the link is broken. So that's going to get fixed, and we're going to be hopefully tuning into this live. And that's going to be very exciting because we have guest speakers who are going to be joining on this shareholder day. Of course, you have Tom Lee, but you also have Sam Altman of OpenAI is going to be talking. You also have other guests. You have Vitalik, who's going to be talking. Tom Lee is on stage now, D-Man says. We don't have a live stream link yet, so they're probably just getting set up as of right now. Thank you all so much for being here. Really do appreciate all of you guys tuning in. And it's going to be fun, right? Because first and foremost, we're going to find out whether the vote passed or did not pass. And that will have big ramifications for BitMine, their ability to dilute into the future, buy more Ethereum, and of course, do more moonshot projects like the news we had earlier this morning with Beast Industries. If the vote doesn't pass, I think we're all in for a rough time because it limits their ability to buy more Ethereum. We're also going to get updates on Maven. We're going to get updates on how they plan to evolve Maven over time to become this. I mean, I think it's going to be this white labeled validator system essentially for other institutions to use. We're also going to get news around what their 2026 roadmap is. Are they going to be accumulating Ethereum past the 5% target, or are they going to stop at 5%? Are they going to be increasing their dividend, or are they going to be, distributing that money into other moonshot projects? What are they going to be doing with that? So all of these questions, I hope, will get answered. And as we know, BMNR is going to be going live in about 15 minutes. So we're scouring here for the link to be back up. But 15 minutes until go live time for the annual shareholder meeting. They're talking about it on X. And of course, hopefully we can watch it all together on this channel. Yeah, I think the vote is going to be positive, personally speaking, but I know a bunch of people were skeptical around the dilution. I think all dilution above 1 MNAV is, of course, going to be accretive. That is something positive that we want to see because what they're doing with that money is beneficial to shareholders beyond the amount that they're diluting. If they're buying Ethereum and they're doing so at a premium, then that should be welcomed by shareholders. Okay, let's take a look. Any degen gambling on this? Yes, there's a lot of degen gambling on this. It's called owning BMNR shares, at least on my end. I know a couple of you are in BMNU and are in options in a big way for this. But for me, it's just BMNR shares right now. Okay, we have some breaking news. The Wolf of Dubai, who is actually at the shareholder day, is posted saying all shareholders proposals approved with a yes. Of course, he is right now at the Wynn Las Vegas, and he posted this. So this might be some confirmation that that they announced there in person. I don't see anything right now on my feeds that is showing it to be approved. But of course, we know Wolf of Dubai is there live at the event right now. So it's possible that we could have a yes vote to all of the shareholder proposals. This is, of course, latest news. It came out 36 seconds ago with him posting. Let me just like and repost this. And of course, we're going to be finding official confirmation of this news very shortly. And here is the stream, everybody. Let's open this up. Hold on. Let me bring down my screen and let me see if I can bring up this broadcast. All right, we got the stream. The stream is up. It is just loading music right now. So definitely don't want to play that right now. Let me just put it up on my screen here. The moment that people start showing up on screen, I will put it up here for you guys as well. Let me share. Okay, stream will begin soon, everybody. So we're going to be live very shortly here. BMNR is just setting up. Let's take a look. I expect some pretty interesting news to be dropping here because if in fact they did drop that Mr. Beast news, that to me shows that they're pretty confident that the vote did pass with a yes. So of course we'll see if that is in case the fact or not. If we do have a yes vote, then I think we will also have a share price be going up as well. I wonder if I can get actually the share price up on the screen here. Let me figure out how to do that. And then maybe I can get both of them so we can see in real time, what happens. Tevis, serious about being a YouTuber. I still have a full-time job. I still cannot afford to be a YouTuber full-time, but I think if I'm the size that Tanner is in his account, then absolutely I'll be making that transition to becoming a full-time YouTube and of course increasing the velocity and the quality of content that I do. So I think that's going to be exciting. That's not coming anytime soon. But that's going to be hopefully within the next 12 months or so. Let's take a look here. Okay. All right. So the stream has not started yet. There's about 1,200 people waiting on the stream. I will not do a daily sauna. Thank you very much. Maybe, I don't know, man. Tanner is getting his health in order, and that's something that I definitely can't knock. I need to do the same. Let's see, actually, if I can do this. I wonder if I can show you guys the live stream from here. Hold on. Let's take the time until this thing loads for us to see if we can set up a live stream link with the stock price in real time. Hopefully that works, but I don't know. I haven't done it before, so I'm open to suggestions. Tim Summers, I think I subbed to this channel yesterday. Thank you so much for joining the channel, Tim Summers. That all will really help for me to eventually do full-time YouTube. That's the goal. I want to do it full-time. Right now, it's just not possible for me to do it full-time. And hopefully, soon it will be. But we have been doing weekly BMNR updates, and that's going to continue. Of course, that's one of my favorite series to do, and I think you guys enjoy that as well. So we'll see. How many shares of BMNR do I have? I don't share actual amounts, but it's about 10% of my portfolio right now is in BMNR shares. So 10% allocation or concentration in BMNR. And so, of course, I'm very much carrying this vote to see how it actually goes through. And I think that's going to be very impactful for all BMNR shareholders. The vote, of course, the vote is a non-starter. We need the vote in order for us to actually have possibilities to maneuver over the next year. But I think the strategy that they share with regards to the roadmap is going to be equally important. So we're going to get an update on both of those today. Let's actually throw this link down off of Twitter, and we'll put up the YouTube link here because it's better. It's bigger screen. So let's do that and close that. So now you guys can see it full screen, and it's much easier for us to see. We still have just music right now. Can you guys hear that? Actually, if I turn this on, can you hear the music? Hold on, I'm turning it on. Can you guys hear that music? Let me know. I don't want to play too much of it because YouTube is not nice about that kind of stuff. But okay, great. So when the stream starts, you're going to see people start going up on screen, and then I'll turn on the audio for you guys, and we'll listen together. So we're seeing more confirmations that the vote is approved. It is a yes vote, is what we're seeing. All shareholder proposals approved with a yes. 50 billion in authorized shares will now be accessible for management to raise capital if needed. So I think we are confirmed from multiple sources, but of course, no official confirmation from BMNR themselves because they're not live yet. But we're having multiple sources who are in Vegas who are confirming that this is a yes vote on all the proposals. So we did it. God help us if they choose to dilute the entire 50 billion amount. But you know, we got the yes vote. And that's the non-starter that I was mentioning, right? If we had a no vote, you would see this thing trade down in a pretty big way. And more than that, you would see the company not being able to maneuver. So, in fact, we did get the yes vote. And we're waiting for the stream. It should be about 3 minutes until the stream starts, guys. 3 minutes, and we are live with the BMNR shareholder meeting. Let me just throw this out on X one more time. And I really appreciate Graham, who shared the link on X. Really appreciate all of you guys who share this content on X. It does help me to have the ability to eventually make this my full-time gig. And when that happens, if that happens, I'll, of course, be able to make way more content for you guys and go deeper into certain things and actually dedicate more time. Because right now I'm doing it in addition to a full-time job. And of course, that's not necessarily the best mix from a time allocation perspective. So we also saw this video that I was sharing earlier on the stream with Steve, and also I shared it on X around potentially Tom Lee having some call options on Ethereum, but also Tom Lee buying Ethereum on the open market for BMNR, which would increase the price of Ethereum. Now, so far over the past 6 months or so, he's been buying Ethereum on like separate exchanges, dark pools and private sources of him acquiring Ethereum. He's been pretty hush-hush about it. And the reason for that was to keep the Ethereum price suppressed. But now, if he does buy it on the open market, he would essentially squeeze Ethereum because we know that exchange reserves are at 10-year lows. We know that the validator queue exit queue is at 0. So there's not going to be enough Ethereum on the market there, and they can obviously artificially increase the price of Ethereum as well. So we're going to see if that's part of the strategy here, if they do plan on going higher than 5%. Okay, here we are.
First time seeing it because Marcy wanted to make it a surprise.
Everybody can hear this?
I've got a presentation, but before I dive into it, I just want to make some sort of opening comments, especially because those on the live stream are just hearing us begin this. So first, I do want to recognize the folks that organized and put this shareholder meeting together in Las Vegas. So that's Marcy Simon of Agent of Change and her team over there. At the end of this sort of programming content, Marcy will come on stage and explain some of the other fun things that are going to follow the formal presentation of some of the content. I do want to recognize several constituents that are behind BitMine. So I'm going to start with the board of directors, which if you can all just stand up at once. If you don't mind, there's going to be 7 standing up. Okay, great. Board of directors. And I'd like to recognize those from BitMine's executive management team. So everyone who is from BitMine, please just stand up. Great. I'd also like to recognize some key partners for us. One of them is Mosaics Capital. And if there's folks from Mosaics here, if you could stand up, I believe there should be a couple. I see some hands waving in the back. Yeah, okay. Of course, our outside counsel, Mike Blankenship, and the team from Winston Strawn, they've been critical partners as we forge as a crypto treasury. So Mike and Mike was up here with me earlier, but where's Mike and team? They're back there. Okay. And I recognize a couple of original pipe investors here, Seth and others. So if you are part of the original pipe, could you please stand? I see Adam here. Please stand up. These guys helped us fund the initial transformation of BitMine. I believe I see Ash from the Ethereum Foundation here. So Ash, could you please stand up? Ash is from the Ethereum Foundation. Okay, and then of course, I'm not gonna ask all the stockholders to stand up, but I do wanna recognize you guys because one, I appreciate you making the journey out here. It's the first ever shareholders meeting we have. We tried to make this a fun event for you and we have some content for you to learn. But it really means a lot to us because we're here to serve the shareholders and really do right by the stock. Okay, so let me just click forward on this presentation. Okay, so I put together a presentation for our annual stockholder meeting. And here's some disclaimers. Again, just like the proxy statement, I hope you read it line to line.
Just like Steve.
But here's the agenda. I want to give you a recap of 2025, which was the year that we transformed BitMine. I want to give you an update on progress about the alchemy of 5% and what it could mean. I do want to spend a lot of time talking about the 4 pillars of growth to drive stockholder value. And this is going to apply to 2026 and beyond. Then I want to go back to why Ethereum is the future of finance. And of course, that we've got the team in place to drive transformation. Okay, I think it's a year, we need to recap 2025 because the year was where a lot of digital asset treasuries came onto the scene, by our count over 80. But in that 12-month period, by the end of last year, we have now seen the emergence of what I would call dominant DATs. Okay, first, just a reminder, I want you to think about holding periods. At Fundstrat, we first wrote about Bitcoin in 2017, and let's look at how Bitcoin has, and at that time we said you'd want to own 1% of Bitcoin. And let's see how it did compared to other assets. And a lot of these other assets I would still own, but as you can see, Bitcoin in that time period that's passed has gone from $960 through September 26th, which we just want to record before the liquidation event, 109,000. That's a 112 times return. It outperformed NVIDIA, which went from $2 to $178, which is massive already, 65x. It beat NASDAQ, it beat gold, which went from 1,100 to 3,800, and it beat the S&P, which went from 2,200 to 6,600. So if you put 1% into Bitcoin, that was a good insurance bet because it really crushed everything else. But Ethereum did even better. You can see Ethereum went from $8 to 3,900. That's almost a 490 times return. Okay. But last year, crypto kind of disappointed. You can see gold did great, the Mag 7 did well, NASDAQ did well, S&P did well, and you can see Bitcoin and Ethereum actually were down for the year. So in some ways, it made many people wonder, is a crypto winter started, or was even last year a crypto winter? Keep in mind that crypto was doing great until October 10th of last year. So Ethereum was up 40% and Bitcoin was up 33%. But then we had the crypto mass liquidation event. $1 trillion of value was wiped out. As many of you know, it was the largest deleveraging event in the history of crypto, even bigger than what happened with FTX. And they estimate over 2 million crypto accounts were wiped out, went to zero. And many market makers and even crypto exchanges had their balance sheets hurt. So the industry, since October 10th, has been limping along. In 2022, November 2022, when FTX collapsed, it took 8 weeks before the market began to show signs of life. So if you asked us this year, it's a larger event, but when would crypto begin to maybe find its bottom? It would be December 10th. And, you know, post October 10th, as you can see, Ethereum fell basically by half and Bitcoin fell by 36%. So here we are, but if you kind of squint, you can see since the late December, Bitcoin and Ethereum have begun to claw their way back. Okay. Now, think about that. It was the largest liquidation event in the history of the crypto industry. So, crypto treasuries were built to go public and outperform ETFs by buying crypto. And since October 31, only 2 crypto companies bought any crypto in size. MicroStrategy, from December 31 to the end of the year, bought 2.9 billion worth of Bitcoin, which is a lot. Metaplanet bought 330 million of Bitcoin. And among the Ethereum treasuries, only 1 crypto treasury bought any Ethereum, which was BitMine, which bought $2.4 billion worth of Ethereum. And in fact, 2 Ethereum treasuries actually sold Ethereum. Okay, so if you think about accretion by buying ETH accretively or buying Bitcoin accretively, it's only 2 companies. Now, let's think about other dimensions about Ethereum treasury dominance. One is just the size of the balance sheet, dollar value of Ethereum held. These numbers, of course, are a little stale, but BitMine is around 13 billion. And that is basically 5 times larger than the next largest Ethereum treasury. But the lifeblood of a crypto treasury is trading volume. BitMine trades $1.6 billion a day. And as you know, we publish weekly stats, but routinely BitMine is a top 50 most traded stock in America, top 50. And as you can see, that's 14 times larger than number 2 in crypto treasury. So if you're looking at what institutions want a really liquid stock that they can buy without disturbing the price. Well, we trade $1.6 billion a day. So they can, they can buy $1 billion in a day. But the next smallest crypto ETH treasury only trades $100 million a day. It would be very hard for them to put $1 billion to work. So again, that's the comparative dominance. And so my takeaway is in 2025, because of October 10th, it has shown who are the dominant crypto treasuries. And it really, in my mind, is 2, MicroStrategy and BitMine. And between the 2 of us, it's 90% of all crypto trading volume for DATs. So the other 78 companies represent 10% of the volume. Okay, so let's jump to part 2, which is the companies made rapid progress on getting to 5% of Ethereum. So that was our mission statement on June 30th when we launched the Ethereum Treasury, funded by our PIPE investors, 2 of which are here today. And in those ensuing 6-7 months, as you can see, we wanted to get to 6 million ETH tokens. And in 6 months, we're at 4.2 million ETH. So we're 68% of the way to 5%. We originally thought this would take 5 years, but we're 68% of the way there in 7 months. Now, thank you. Now, we have cash, $1 billion of cash on the balance sheet. So if we add the cash and said, let's buy Ethereum with the cash, we would have 4.5 million ETH tokens, which means we're 75% of the way to the alchemy of 5%. So we believe, if you believe this trajectory, BitMine should cross 5% sometime this year, assuming the 7 months continue to hold. And as you can see, we studied the blue chip standard for crypto treasuries, which is MicroStrategy. And as you can see here, we have 13 billion of ETH, including cash, in roughly 7 months. At the same point, MicroStrategy had 3.4 billion of Bitcoin. In fact, we accumulated as much Ethereum as Strategy accumulated, which took them roughly 1,300 days or 4 years. Okay, so now that we've stacked some ETH, I think you need to think, because many of you might get angry at us, because I've seen it on Twitter, like, Tom, if you got ETH and don't do anything else, you're just gonna stake it, okay? But then I think you're misunderstanding what happens if you have a substantial stake and especially as a validator, in a proof of stake network, in one of the most important blockchains in the world today. I mean, Ethereum, in our view, is going to be the future of finance. So we have 5%. Imagine like someone saying, hey, there's this really tall kid, okay? He's like 7 feet tall, so we're just going to have him clean gutters because he's so tall, Like your best return should be like, oh, he should be a basketball player or something, right? Not a roof cleaner. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. You have to imagine if you own 5% of Ethereum, and it's the most important blockchain in the world, and it's going to be the future of finance, and it'll be the settlement layer for almost everything else. I don't know if you'd want us to just be staking ETH and then that's it. But that's what a lot of people many of you might even think that's what you want. But let me just try to open your imagination to some things that would make sense. First, when we made our first presentation about BitMine, we gave you this roadmap. We said we're going to have a Made in America validator network. We're going to be a community participant, especially with the Ethereum Foundation, and Ash, who was one of the key folks there. We also wanted to do moonshots. Okay, these are select investment and ideas that would really enhance the future value of Ethereum. And of course, we wanted to get to 5% of ETH. So I want to focus on this moonshots. And at the time we wrote this in our first presentation from July, we said we would use up to 5% of the balance sheet to do moonshots. Now, 5% today is $700 million. So you should realize we've been giving you this idea that we would take 5% of the balance sheet, 700 million, and our balance sheet will grow. But we want to do moonshots that will strengthen Ethereum's competitive position. So today we announced one of the moonshots, okay? You might be confused, so I'll explain to you why this is not confusing, okay? We made a $200 million investment into Beast Industries. I would say if someone said, what are you expecting to accomplish? If this was just like, hey, I'm going to make a $200 million bet into Beast, no brainer, okay? Because he is, well, I'm going to skip around. I'm going to jump. Because he is the iconic content creator of our generation. There is nobody more important to Gen Z, Gen Alpha, and millennials. Now, I'm looking at the room, okay? I'm going to guess, okay, that the representative population of Gen Z, Gen Alpha is not here, okay? Because otherwise you guys would be using a lot of slang I don't understand. I see some millennials, but I see a lot of Gen X and a lot of baby boomers, okay? So the thing is that you might think that we have gone off the rails, but that's not the thing, okay? Mr. Beast is the #1 content creator in the world. And if you're not following how important he is, first of all, he has 1 billion followers, okay? 1 billion, like there's 7 billion people on this planet. He has 1 in 7 people following him. But I'm going to say I only think there's 3 million people with like internet accounts. He has like 1/3 of all people that are on the internet following him. That's reach.
It's wild.
For instance, he has the only person with more followers that are celebrities is Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, okay? And of all the creators, he's 1 billion. The next is, I can't really read the name. I need my magnifiers, okay. 300 million. He is a giant among content creators. In fact is, nobody's gonna be able to become Mr. Beast again. I would say it's almost impossible for someone to, in the next 10 years, to get 1 billion followers. And he's created this organically. In fact, if you look at YouTube usage, Mr. Beast has more viewership than Walt Disney or Netflix or NBC or Paramount, Fox, Warner Brothers, or Amazon. Nobody's more watched in streaming world than Mr. Beast, okay? And think about that for a minute. And the Super Bowl, which is like considered, the global event, gets 256 million views on that event. Twice a month, Mr. Beast puts out a video, and each one gets 252 million views. His content is more watched than the Super Bowl, okay? So he has 535 million views a month out of his 1 billion followers. They are super engaged. And now he does all these collaborations. That's the key word. Okay, he collaborates with all these people that you might care about somewhere on this grid, okay? But he does content with them. And guess what? Well, actually, let me just jump forward. Well, yeah, let me back up then. Okay, so that's where it comes with us. So again, I'm going to start with what I just said. So if it was just a $200 million investment, guys, this is a no-brainer. This guy is the most important content creator in the world. And Bitmine was invited to invest in their capital structure. Look at who else is allowed to invest. Social Capital, which is Chamath, Alpha Wave. Mr. Beast himself, he owns 51% of the company. We're the largest corporate and strategic investor in his company. So we are big, okay? What do I think that investment's worth? Okay, I can make a forward statement because I'm not Beast Industries, but I think we're gonna easily make a moonshot return on that, 10x. But that's not the reason, okay? So he's the #1 content creator. And now we have substantial call option value on any future consumer service developed by each. Okay, now I want to read what Jeff Hausenbold, their CEO, actually stated. Sorry, I'm going to have to pull this up on my phone. About this investment that we made. And I want you to listen carefully to his words. Okay, what he said was, "We are excited to welcome Tom Lee and Bitmine as new investors in Beast Industries, joining our current top-tier venture investors." And we're not a venture investor, we're a strategic corporate. "Their support is a strong validation of our vision, strategy, and growth trajectory, and it provides additional capital to achieve our goal to become the most impactful entertainment brand in the world." Okay, so we're helping them get to their goal. "We look forward to exploring ways to further collaborate," see, that's the word, "and incorporate DeFi into our upcoming financial services platform." So think about this. If you want Ethereum to be part of the future of finance, it kind of makes sense to have a connection to the most important content creator in the world. Okay. So again, if you were angry and you downvoted our investment in Mr. Beast, you're allowed to change your downvote. Okay, so I just want to explain the potential synergy. So you have, okay, someone says the #1 investor for retail investors, okay, me. The #1 holder of Ethereum in the world. Okay, we own more Ethereum than anybody, and it's the future of finance. Plus the #1 content creator in the world. I mean, guys, that's the option value. I mean, that's the moonshot potential. And that's what we just put Bitmine on a trajectory for another moonshot beyond just the money we earn from staking. Okay. Now, lastly, if you want to know where we could have potential collaborations, I'll give you some thoughts. For instance, do any of you guys watch Beast Games? Okay. Like, it's huge. It's the #1 show in 80 countries. #1 show in 80 countries. 144 million people watched it in the first 25 days. It's the #1 unscripted show in Prime Video history. 50 million families watched it in the first 25 days. I mean, this is driving Amazon growth, and it broke 67 world records. Well, would it make sense for Bitmine to be a sponsor partner with Mr. Beast in one of the episodes? Right? That makes perfect sense. Well, that's what we're going to have synergy from by being their largest corporate strategic investor. And by the way, something that the Mosaics partners and I, Matt from there here, and Shen's missing, but one of the things that was super compelling to us is that the corporate values of Beast Industries. If you're not aware, they are a very philanthropic group. Mr. Beast himself is extremely charitable. Beast Philanthropy has grown to one of the biggest giving engines in the world. Okay, they've raised hundreds of millions of dollars for things like refugees, food, prosthetics, surgeries. It's incredible. So we have corporate values aligned, again, with what I think is the most important content creator in the world. Okay, so hopefully, and I took a lot of time to explain that, you understand this was a smart move. Okay, we're not doing something crazy with shareholder capital. And they're growing, by the way. Look at His follower count is up 30% year over year. I mean, pretty soon, his follower count's going to include like Mars inhabitants because he's going to cover the whole planet, right? After 7 billion, or it'll be like, you know, frozen eggs and stuff. And 41% growth of views. Okay, so that takes us back to our strategy going forward. We have 4 pillars of growth because, again, I don't think as shareholders you want us to just simply be staking ETH and buying ETH, especially as we get close to 5%. So let me explain to you our 4 pillars of growth. The first is to maximize yield on Ethereum. Okay, so we're going to optimize the staking yield. The Caesar benchmark is 2.8. We're going to try to do better. One way we do it, at least one way that we've talked about it, is to pursue alpha strategies. Now, the entity that'll execute this for us is Mosaic's Capital. But we also have an advisor, Tom DeMark of DeMark Analytics. For those who are boomers or older Gen X, Tom DeMark is iconic. He is one of the most famous market timing people. He has won so many awards. He only has 2 clients. I believe he's disclosed his, well, I don't think he's disclosed his first client, so I'm not going to name it. We are his only other client. And I showed you that slide where we bought 2.4 billion of ETH in the last 2 months. Tom DeMark's strategies, along with Mosaic's execution, probably saved us $400 million on those purchases. So think about that. We bought ETH in a way that made you guys money. So don't shake your fist at ETH when it's down. We like it when it's declining, okay? All right. But here's where I can give you some imagination. We have 13 billion of ETH. So imagine proposal 2 didn't pass and we're stuck in the water. We don't buy another dollar of ETH for the rest of the history of the company. But using the staking yield and with some optimization, that would generate 367 to 390 million a year in rewards. We have $1 billion in cash. That would generate another 35 to 40 million. The company will generate $400 to $433 million a year in pre-tax income. That's more than $1 million a day. And that's been achieved in 6 months. I think a company that goes from 0 to, in 7 months, a company that can make $400 million a year, that's quite an achievement. But of course, thank you for the stockholders for getting us here. But let's think about a future scenario. Let's say that ETH's price stays at 3,000, but we get to 5% of ETH. That number rises to 542 million to 583 million. But I think ETH is grossly undervalued, okay? Let's say a proper price for ETH is 12,000, okay? And I'll explain in a later section how I get to 12. Then the annual rewards and interest jump to 2 billion to 2.2 billion, okay? That would make us one of the 20 most profitable companies in America. So, or maybe 30th most, but it's really up there, okay? So that's why if our vision is correct on Ethereum, and we're generating this level of rewards and income, you don't want us to just be a staking entity. Okay, so that gets us to the second, which is we want to invest in moonshots. So far, we've done 2. We will do more, Orbs and WorldCoin. We want to accelerate tokenization products. We want to work with the L2s and the DeFis, the leading projects, including something like Lighter. And I'm going to have a fireside chat with Vlad today about Lighter and why you really should pay attention to Lighter and its token. And you know, we're really excited about this Beast Industries moonshot. Okay, but just to remind you, BitMine invested in AICO $20 million. Okay, WorldCoin, it was founded in 2019 by Sam Altman, who's the OpenAI CEO, and Alex Blania. They have built an incredible technology for proof of human. It is the only way to verify your humanity today using an iris scan. They're not scanning your iris, they're using your iris to create a cryptographic hash, but that is unique. Out of 7 billion people, that would be the only number cryptographically unique identification. It's the only thing more secure is a fingerprint. And ACO's done well. They hold 10% of the circulating supply of WorldCoin, 11,000 ETH, 69 million cash, and they verified 17 million humans. The WorldCoin app, if you haven't downloaded it, it's almost an Omni app. It's that good. And they've done some cool pilot partnerships to do proof of human verification, sort of a single sign-on with Kraken and Coinbase. And they've also made strategic investments into something like Mythical. Okay, and of course, tokenization is the future. And that's why we want to do moonshots into tokenization. I might fork this conversation for a bit to explain to you tokenization, because I think people are underestimating how important it is. Tokenization does give you fractional ownership, a reduced cost and efficiency, 24/7 trading, enhanced transparency and security, increased liquidity. Okay, but I think it's really taking Wall Street into the future. Okay, so it's a huge evolution. And in fact, Larry Fink said it's the biggest innovation since double ledger accounting. He's the CEO of BlackRock. So I'll just give you some examples of tokenization. And I'm sorry, this is taking longer than expected, but I had to explain to you, Mr. Beast. So first, to tokenize something, you could just do fractional ownership. So you could say, take the painting and fractionalize it, and this is what you own. But what we believe is more important is to factorize an asset. So let's say you took the painting, you broke it down into the colors, okay? And it'd be the equivalent of like take a company and break it down to its components. Then you can decide that you just want to own a factor. So I'll give you an example for Tesla. You can time tokenize the company. You can base it on, remember, Tesla stock price is the sum of all future earnings. You could pick a single earnings year to own. It's a product tokenization. You could break it into its products, the present value of its products. You can do geographic tokenization. And you can tokenize the financial statement. Okay, let's give an example of time. Here's all the future earnings of Tesla. And we know Elon Musk gets paid on his 2036 earnings, okay? So you might just want to buy the earnings for that year because he's going to obviously have some enormous upside number to get paid. And that would be a lottery ticket, because imagine you don't own any of the earnings for Tesla for the next 9 years, and you just own it for the 10th year. That's a huge way to make a bet. If you believe in Elon Musk, that would probably be the bet I would make. And you wouldn't pay a lot for it because it's 10 years from now. You can product tokenize. He's got EVs, robotaxi. I left off Optimus Prime. Full self-driving, solar. And remember this, if you look at Tesla's stock price, it's the sum of all the future product streams that are here. I forgot Optimus Prime. And then there's going to be this plug, which is the growth of Tesla in the future, which is Elon's brain. You can just make a bet on Elon's brain in the future. Okay, that's the kind of tokenization that can happen with smart contracts, and that's what I think a company like Lighter, that project, could be the ones working with us to develop these tokenized products. That would be a future moonshot, right? We also, the third pillar of growth is we want to productize BitMine. There's an app coming. We have a huge community of dedicated shareholders, and the BitMine brand is strong. It's interesting, when we did the initial transformation for BitMine, we're like, wait, we're an Ethereum treasury company. Why? And that was, BitMine was a Bitmine mining company. Shouldn't we change the name? Well, 7 months later, I think we like the BitMine name. We're going to keep it. And of course, I've got a BitMine lapel pin here. So an app is coming, and it's being developed by an outside technical team. Now, you might wonder, what are we going to offer on it? That's what you have to wait to find out. Okay. Okay. So next, the final pillar of growth is that we're going to bridge TradFi and DeFi. And TradFi means traditional finance and consumer services. Again, because we believe Ethereum is going to be the future settlement layer and the future of finance, and we're the largest holder of Ethereum, we should act as that bridge. We're the top 50 most traded stock. Maven, when it launches, is going to be the largest staking entity in the world. So once we launch Maven, we're the biggest staking operator in the world. I mean, think about that. Like, we're not going to be small fry trying to get market share. We'll be the biggest. And that means we can actually act as a settlement layer for a lot of other, for Ethereum and maybe other tokens as well. So Maven, as you know, it's going to be best-in-class staking. Again, we really don't want to divulge too many details before we reveal it, but this is what we've told you so far. Okay, so you can see where things sit. We're the largest holder of Ethereum in the world. We're going to bridge things in finance and in DeFi. So you realize the roadmap's quite optimistic ahead for us. I'm going to have to fly through this because I think I am running over time. So Ethereum's the future of finance, okay? Let me take us to this slide. I am? Okay. If you're going to think about Ethereum's price, you should think of it as its relative importance versus Bitcoin. Because the ETH BTC ratio is essentially saying, is Ethereum doing better than digital gold? And as the ratio goes up, that means smart contracts are more valuable than digital gold. And so that's how you should think about that price ratio. And currently, Ethereum to BTC is 0.03463. Okay. In 2021, that ratio was 0.08727. In my opinion, and many opinions of the team here at BitMine, Ethereum is more useful now than it was in 2021. I mean, the fees have come down. The amount of developers has expanded vastly. A use case has massively emerged, which is stable coins. And now there's tokenization. And of course, there's going to be a bridge into the consumer through things like Beast Industries, right? So, in fact, Standard Charter, which is, we think, we've seen a lot of Wall Street research. I think Jeffrey Kendrick does some of the best work. He says 2026 is the year of Ethereum. He sees the ETH BTC ratio returning to its 2021 highs. Okay, so he's using that metric. Okay, well, let's think about that ratio. There's 3 sets of columns here. Okay, see the middle set of green? Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's a little hard to see on the screen. So that's the 2021 high ratio, 0.0873. And then we put a little horizontal line because we expect Bitcoin to get to 250,000 this year. So if Bitcoin gets to 250,000 and Ethereum trades at its high relative to Bitcoin, Ethereum's at 22,000. And it's currently 3,200. So you see the massive upside in Ethereum. Well, is that good or bad for BitMine stock? See, I went to Bloomberg, did what they call historical correlation. The x-axis is Ethereum's price since July. The y-axis is BitMine's stock price. And you can see if Ethereum's price goes up, BitMine's stock price goes up. So the correlation is like 90-something%, which makes like intuitive sense. Okay, well, let's shrink that a little bit and say, what if Ethereum gets to 22,000? What does this trend line project to? $500 price for BitMine. If Ethereum gets to 60,000, the stock price is 1,500. And of course, if Joe Lubin is correct, which, as you know, he's been dedicated to Ethereum, and I think he has a good argument for it. He thinks Ethereum gets to 250,000. BitMine stock price is 5,000. First of all, that's why we need the share authorization, because I mean, how many people can buy a 5,000 share? Like, people are going to buy like 1 share or 0.1 shares, right? So that's the upside. And then finally, we have a strong team, which I already introduced, but here are some of the members of the executive team. So I think that the presentation might have created some questions for you guys here. So I think we're going to have a few questions. So if you have a question, raise your hand. However, please do not ask about the shareholder vote. That's already concluded. Okay. I see a hand there.
Thank you for the question.
Oh, I think there's a microphone.
Oh, thank you so much for the question, Mr. Chairman. Crypto holders will know the slogan, "Not your keys, not your crypto." How does BitMine custody their private keys and prevent them being stolen or absconded, et cetera?
Good question, I guess.
It's a great question, and it's a question for all the crypto treasuries. As you know, crypto is a bearer instrument.
Bro, what the hell? Okay, hold on. Puts on Canada.
If you memorize the cryptographic hash, or you have a password, or some seed phrases, or whatever. Now, you met the executive team here. None of us has a memory to memorize all the cryptographic keys, especially buying $14 billion worth of ETH. So we do not custody the Ethereum ourselves. We use recognized and regulated custodians. Now, we do not name our vendors for security reasons. But again, if you want to try to shake us down tonight, none of us has the private keys. It's the same structure as MicroStrategy. Michael Saylor does not keep a ledger wallet in his pocket for his 59 billion of ETH. He uses the same custodians. But for obvious reasons, I don't want to tell you more than that. Okay, I see a couple questions here.
Thanks, Mr. Lee. I was wondering, what does Vitalik Buterin think about BitMine immersion? What's his take on it?
Well, I've met Vitalik. Vitalik's very diplomatic because he doesn't want to bless winners and losers. And, but he also recognizes the importance of community and users. And he has a vision around Ethereum. He doesn't necessarily believe Ethereum is created to become the next monetary system. However, it is literally the blockchain that's best for the future monetary system. There's a reason why JP Morgan is building their money market tokenized fund on Ethereum, and why Robinhood is tokenizing stocks on Ethereum, and BlackRock is doing tokenized funds on Ethereum. So these do not make Vitalik's unhappy. Now, Ash, who's been one of our folks that have really connected us to the Ethereum Foundation, he might be willing to share what he would be saying secondhand, what Vitalik might think about Ethereum. I don't know if you're willing to, in BitMine, I don't know if Ash, if you want to make any comments.
Okay, thanks, thanks, Tom. I think what's key with BitMine and other DATs is that they are bridging the gap between Wall Street and what has been built over the last 10 years. Now, I think Tom's been a key proponent here. If Ethereum was to have an investor relations man, he is the chief of investor relations of Ethereum.
IR@ethereum.org.
No, so it's great. And I think Ethereum will store most of the world's value at some point in time. And if you think about a technology that is storing most of the world's value, tokenization, as Tom was talking about, that is where the collateral will exist. And that is where the capital efficiency of the world, the world's financial system will exist. So I think Tom's a big proponent and driving Bitmine and global adoption of Ethereum. So from that perspective, I think he's a key stakeholder, as is Bitmine.
Yeah. And just to emphasize, I don't think Vitalik wants to pick winners and losers. So I don't think he views us as any more important than any other Ethereum DAT. And I think that's important because, as you know, we don't want, like if you look at traditional equity markets, you don't want policymakers to pick winners and losers. You want the market to make that decision. So I really respect Vitalik's view. Okay, there's a few more questions. So can we hit this gentleman?
Hi, my question's about the current legislations is processing through our government. And specifically, if you would address this issue of the banks not wanting stable coins to, owners of stable coins to receive a yield.
Yes, this gentleman's referring to the Clarity Act, which is making its way through Congress. I think some of the crypto industry and some of the lobbying groups that we work with are not happy with some of the current proposals. I don't really want to say too many things because remember, the audience who's watching the stream are people in the crypto industry, but also people in the traditional banking industry. And I don't want to have I don't want to have a bullseye on my back. But what I would say is you realize the crypto industry and the traditional Wall Street banks have very different objectives when it comes to crypto regulation, because the traditional banks want to stack it in their favor. They want to make it harder to be a new entrant, and they want to make it easy for the banks to dominate by being like a big bully and saying, hey, listen, all you little pygmies, I just entered the room and it's my game. Whereas the new entrants want a level playing field. They want the best projects to win. And it's already kind of been happening in crypto. Like Tether, if you guys know, Tether is the issuer of the USDT. They have 130, maybe 100, I'm sorry, 180 billion of USDT outstanding. Let's say it's 190 billion. There's $19 trillion of dollar supply out there. So Tether has 1% of the money supply. Is that right? Yeah, 1%. But Tether is going to earn close to $20 billion by making a stablecoin for 1% of all US dollar supply. That makes it the sixth most profitable bank in the world. And its market value would be number 2 only to JP Morgan. So this crypto native stablecoin issuer is suddenly like the second biggest bank in the world. They only have like 300 employees. JP Morgan has 300,000. A crypto native company using blockchain as settlement, and by the way, most of Tether runs on Ethereum, is like a better bank than a bank. So you can see why Clarity Act it's kind of, there's a big fight, right? There's what the crypto guys want versus what the banks want. But I don't have a view beyond that because again, this is all being streamed. I don't want to, I don't want to drink coffee and like get sick or something. So, okay. There's a question here.
Great job, Mr. Lee.
Thank you.
I want to say you're number one right here, right now.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to know what your thoughts were about BMNR. When will it top out this year? What month do you think it will reach its top?
Let's go.
Yeah.
What month this year?
I love this guy.
I can show you my diary, and like every day I have a target price. Here's the thing, like, I really can't give you forward guidance because then we have to 8K it. And then, of course, I already know from my days at Fundstrat, like if I say this is going to happen on this day, then everyone like marks it in their calendar. And then all of a sudden they're like, hate me because they bought call options on that expiry date. But you saw the chart, like Ethereum's undervalued. Ethereum's ratio to Bitcoin should be going up a lot. I mean, it should go beyond the 2021 high. And Bitcoin is undervalued because Bitcoin had a rug pull on October 10th and it's beginning to recover. Gold has been on a dramatic rise. Every dramatic rise in gold has been followed by a Bitcoin rally. And year to date, Bitcoin's beating gold for the first time probably in many years. So I think Bitcoin should do well, which would mean if the ratio of Ethereum to Bitcoin goes up, because Ethereum's already up 12% year to date, Ethereum should outperform dramatically. And then that's great for the stock price. So, I mean, if you're worried about Bitmine where it is now, just keep in mind, ask yourself these questions. Is Bitmine going to have a liquidity problem? It has $1 billion of cash. Does Bitmine have any debt coming due? Zero debt. Does Bitmine have to sell its Ethereum to fund operations? It's $400 million of pre-tax income a year. I mean, no problem there. Is there a problem with Ethereum? Ethereum's usage is going through the roof. They've, Fusaka upgrade happened late last year. Use cases are growing. So, I mean, if Bitmine's, stock price is in the dumps, which it kind of is it because of anything fundamental? Not really. But when did Bitmine's price kind of take a hit? After October 10th. I think all crypto kind of got hit after that liquidation event. But relative to other cryptos, especially DATs, only two since that period of time have actually sort of picked themselves off the ground and continue to buy crypto, which is Bitmine and MicroStrategy. So I hope that makes you feel better. But again, I can send you my diary later after the shareholder. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, guys. One more question.
Oh, I get the last one. Sorry, guys. Tom, thanks for everything you're doing for all of us. We really appreciate you and the team. Being that Bitmine's role within the Ethereum ecosystem, the importance of it, and how close we are to the 5% alchemy, has the consideration been given to go to 10%?
Question?
Yeah, so the question is, what if when we hit 5% of Ethereum, do we stop there? What if we go to 10%? We've asked that question a lot because one of the reasons we picked 5% is because of the power law. The idea is that if you own enough of a network, you begin to have beneficial and unique influence, not on the network itself, but on people who want to interact with the network. So in other words, if we were only 1% of ETH, would we be invited to invest in Beast Industries? Probably not, right? They wouldn't care. Would we be the liquidity backstop for a lot of potential exchanges? Probably not, but we have like 14 billion of ETH. And it's no debt. I mean, we can be liquidity for a lot of folks. And of course, that's why we could be the settlement layer. Does getting to 10% bequeath us more benefit? It might, but we also don't want to crowd out the network. Because if you own too much of Ethereum, then you become a malevolent entity. Because all of a sudden, you ever heard the phrase like, if you borrow money from the bank, they own you. But if you borrow so much money from the bank, you own the bank. Well, in a similar concept, we don't want to end up making this like the to have so much Ethereum that we crowd out the voices. I mean, you know, Ethereum works because it's a huge community. So we want to balance that. So I don't know what the right number is, but, you know, one path is like we get to 5% and we're just dividending a lot of return because of our alpha strategies and our moonshots. Or we see if, you know, what level beyond that would be okay to pursue without, you know, exerting too much influence. We want to keep Ethereum, you know, a decentralized network. So, well, I'd have to ask the master of ceremonies.
Mike 4.
Multiple. Oh, thank you, sorry. There was some controversy about Fundstrat giving two different stock prices of Ethereum. Can you comment on that by chance?
Yes.
Thank you.
When I first entered Wall Street, someone gave me some advice. They said, Tom, if you want to be correct, make 300 forecasts. And one of them will be correct and you're never wrong. So I decided to say at Fundstrat, let's make 20 forecasts because one of them will be correct. I'm just kidding. That's what you're referring to is that in my other job, I'm the founder of Fundstrat, a research firm. I'm also the chief investment officer of Fundstrat Capital, which, by the way, has reached 4.7 billion of assets under management. Thank you. And Granny Pin here. But at Fundstrat, we have 3 leading voices on markets. I do macro. I'm head of research. Mark Newton, who's our head of technical strategy, and Sean Farrell, who does crypto strategy. Each of us looks and approaches crypto differently. I have a top-down view of Ethereum and Bitcoin. I'm not trading that position. I'm trying to keep you from being your own worst enemy. Most people make a mistake because they sell at the bottom. Ethereum's like at the bottom. I'm trying to convince you, like in 2017, to stack your Bitcoin. Mark Newton is very tactical, and I consult him all the time. His time frame can be 5 days. It could be, 2 weeks, 2 months. It can be 12 months. If it's 5 minutes, he's going to call me in the bathroom. I'm just kidding. He doesn't call me when I'm in the bathroom. And Sean Farrell, he manages a portfolio of crypto as if he's the portfolio manager. He doesn't necessarily have a view. He might have a directional view. So the controversy that you're referring to is Sean Farrell said Ethereum would go to 1,800. It could go to 1,800 in December, okay? In December, Sean Farrell said that Ethereum could go to 1,800 in January. Whereas Tom Lee said Ethereum should rally in the first part of the year. And so therefore I pulled Sean into my office and I said, Sean, listen, I'll give you $20 to change your mind. Just kidding. But Sean, of course, is managing a crypto alpha portfolio. So that's just, he's not pinning 1,800 and betting on it. He's just saying, I'm going to be cautious around ETH. Maybe I'm a buyer there. But if you're a subscriber to Fundstrat, Sean has modified his view. There's been a recovery in price. So now he's buying Ethereum. So I don't think he would stick to that 1,800 view. So the Twitter world will say, hey, Fundstrat's like throwing out 2 targets. It's not. It's just different voices. And if you're a subscriber to Fundstrat, you'd see it's not controversial. But by the way, if you'd like to get Fundstrat research, you're welcome to sign up. Just kidding. Okay, well, thanks. I think that concludes my part. Yes.
Let's see what comes next. They should announce how the vote went.
Okay, so we're gonna bring Vlad from Lighter up next, and we're gonna have a fireside chat.
Yeah, the jokes were brutal, dude. I don't even know what to say about that. Volume was at the max. Yeah, the jokes were not. I don't know, man. I don't know how you could be making these awkward jokes, just sweating up there when BMNR is so low. Didn't get a lot on the roadmap. I would have loved to see more. Let's give this a listen. Do we want to listen to this? Let's give this a listen.
Vlad and I had a conversation ahead of this, and Vlad is a crypto native. So that means he is like high IQ, could be autistic, but super high IQ. But also that the audience here is not likely to be crypto native. So he and I had a conversation because we wanted to make sure that we keep this conversation in a way that kind of makes intuitive sense to whoever's here. We apologize if someone who's watching live stream is a crypto native and thinks I'm asking repetitive questions. But I do want to sort of have a conversation where we can explain what Vlad and Lighter do, but then also why, for us, for BitMine, we want to be doing more things with Lighter. So, okay, so Vlad, could you just start with talking about yourself and your background?
Great. Thanks for having me, Tom. And great to meet everybody here. So I actually, funny enough, started out in TradFi about 20 years ago at a place called Citadel when they were just getting into high frequency trading. So did that for quite some time, kind of was through the crash of 2008, the flash crash of 2010, kind of saw what works well in TradFi and what some of the shortfalls might be, and came out to Silicon Valley in 2012 and spent time there mostly working on AI and fintech, but started following blockchain and crypto kind of from the sidelines, investing in some projects, advising some teams, so on and so forth. And really, things became really clear about what value blockchain and particularly Ethereum can add to the financial system. And that's kind of what led us to Lighter.
Great. And I'm going to guess a lot of folks have not heard of Lighter. Would love for you to give us a top-down sort of explanation, and I can sort of expand on that a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So Lighter is a decentralized exchange built on top of Ethereum, and we can talk more about what that means, but you can trade spot assets like Ethereum, like our native token LID, other spot assets on Lighter, but the biggest market you can trade on Lighter right now are perpetual futures. So these are derivatives that, unlike traditional futures that have expiration, kind of you can trade them without an expiration. You don't have to roll them over. You can trade them with leverage. And Lighter, because it's on top of Ethereum, it's very secure. It's kind of on the most secure settlement layer. Everything that happens on Lighter is verifiable. What that means is every single trade, every single order, every single liquidation, there's a proof that that happened correctly and fairly. So, for example, something like the flash crash, wouldn't happen. And if there are big moves like on October 10th, there's a record of exactly what happened, who got liquidated when and why, and all that. But in terms of numbers, we have around 4 or 5 billion of daily volume at this point. We are live in many countries, hoping to be live in the US soon, but have tens of thousands of daily traders and process hundreds of millions of orders a day.
Yeah. And so Lighter is a decentralized exchange. In somewhat, you may have heard of something like Hyperliquid, and that's similar. But some of these folks might wonder, how does your project differ from what they call centralized exchanges like Coinbase or Binance or others?
Yeah. So, Coinbase, and they're actually an investor in us as well, and so they're partners with us, and they're in a variety of businesses, but the main business that they're mostly known for is the centralized exchange. They also do stuff in DeFi, and where we can partner with them on so on. But the main thing that Coinbase does in their core business is where they custody your assets. You can trade at this point, for U.S. customers, you can trade spot assets. They also have a perpetuals offering for customers in other jurisdictions. But there, everything that happens happens internally, both the custody and kind of the rules around matching and rules around risk and liquidations. All of that kind of happens centrally as opposed to in a decentralized way, right? So that's kind of the main difference. Now that there's different, like if you look at the whole ecosystem, right? Like you can there's the custody part, then there's the part about, well, what about how do you make sure the matching is fair, right? Like how do you make sure liquidations are fair? So there's kind of different aspects of what you want from a decentralized exchange. But at a very high level, like something that's completely centralized, there's some benefits to that as well, but we believe that kind of over time the future is decentralized.
Great. Okay. So when we sort of finished with our conversation, if there are more questions, we may have some audience questions and to see if they need more explanation. But I wanted to sort of ask you very specifically about why did you decide to build on top of Ethereum?
Yes. So we started building in late 2022 when it was pretty clear after what happened with FTX and other things that we're seeing that a really strong decentralized exchange was something that was needed in the market. And we thought a lot about the architecture of that. It was pretty clear from the start that Ethereum is kind of the security layer, the layer that you can build upon. That's the kind of the most trusted, the most reliable. It's been around, the longest of any of the L1s, and they already had a really strong DeFi ecosystem, which I think in part, you made a point earlier that the Ethereum,
Bro, the crazy part about this is that this guy's going to come off and then Sam Altman's going to come on and he's going to seem like the normal one out of all these guys.
All of that, all of those assets are, secured by Ethereum. And so for us, it was very clear if we want to build something that has to do with finance, that's very hard technically to make it work, to have a very efficient exchange. So that's why it was actually a hard technical lift for us to do. But there was always no question for us that that's, the ground, security layer you want to build on top of.
Yeah. So the way you built on Ethereum is that you are the largest L2 today, if I'm correct.
Well, by certain metrics, so we're in terms of TVL,
or one of the largest.
Yeah. In terms of TVL, we're the fourth largest. And I just to step back, later I mentioned in the context of the product and what it means for the customer, but the tech behind Lighter involved building our own layer 2 on top of Ethereum, which, as Tom said, is one of the largest, fourth largest by TVL in terms of transactions per second. It's the highest, and in terms of orders that are processed and volumes, I think it's one or first or second highest. But yeah, I think kind of the whole L2 architecture is really interesting because like the more secure the layer 1, in this case Ethereum, the more performant layer 2s on top of it can be.
Yeah. And before I explain it, I kind of want you to add to the brag. Aren't you the most used L2 today?
Yeah, I think if you look at number of orders sent, kind of daily customers, that's right.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep that on mute for now. I'm just gonna talk over these guys, and we'll come back to that in just a short while. Somebody said special Tanner and Ice. I can't with the comments, man. You guys kill me every single time. All right, let's take a look at BMNR, how it's doing after hours. It's up about 1%. It didn't really move much, but it didn't even have any reason to move because we didn't get anything that was materially substantial. We got presentations that Tom Lee had talked about in the past. Hold on, let me fix myself here. Let's do that. And we can still keep track of the comments and we can still keep track of this dude rambling away. So we got confirmation of stuff that they've announced in the past around their strategy of how BMNR is tied to Ethereum. And if one goes up, the other goes up as a result of their holdings. Honestly, the entire 1 hour of Tom talking, the most interesting segments to me was around what they could potentially be doing with Mr. Beast. So for example, if they launch a BMNR app, and if Mr. Beast all of a sudden has exclusive content in that BMNR app, well, then they can command a lot of eyeballs. There was also a comment that I bookmarked where, one of the users basically said, look, if Mr. Beast gets half of his followers to buy ETH or BMNR, this is going to be flying. So I do agree with that as well. Like there's a lot of optionality there with regards to Mr. Beast. But that's like me cherry picking because there's not a lot of new stuff that we got, right? The most interesting part aside from the Mr. Beast point was the last question where he was basically asking around, will they go to 10%? Now, I don't think they're going to go fully to 10%. I think it gives them less you need a liquid market. If BMNR was to own, let's say 50% of the market, then you would have lower activity. You wouldn't have people trading because you just corner that market. It loses its value. Like if one person owns all the Bitcoin in the world, Bitcoin is worthless, So I think there's a sweet spot between 5% or higher of where they do get to. It's all going to be derived from Ethereum going up in value and their ability to command a higher premium on the Ethereum that they hold as a company. Now, I think one of the differentiating factors is this $1 billion that is going to allow them to do more moonshots. And I think from what he was saying is that they want to keep doing this moonshot strategy to leverage their Ethereum, not only as a liquidity provider, which I think is really interesting as a whole, because they can become a backstop from a liquidity perspective because they hold 14 billion in Ethereum, but also now if they leverage that position from a tokenization perspective, from a DeFi perspective for moonshot projects, I think they can definitely get some arbitrage there. Now, nothing was said to this regard from Tom Lee. He sort of rambled his way around the answer. And I would have loved some more concrete answers around what does the roadmap look like post the 5% allocation? When this year do they hope to achieve 5%? Are they going to continue buying on the open exchange, or are they going to buy sort of OTC? And all of these things, I think, were necessary in order for us to get some clarity on the roadmap going forward. And what we got instead was we got a lot of regurgitation of the previous presentations that are already live and have been live for months on BMNR's shareholder site. That's a piece that I didn't like. It was very much a nothing burger. And you'd think having an annual shareholder day that we would get a little bit more around forward-looking statements for the 2026 year. So that's the piece that I honestly is making me a little bit more skeptical. But I think the thesis is strong. And I think if you do believe in Ethereum, then you have some optionality here with regards to BMNR. We're going to see what comes after this. I'm assuming it's going to be another fireside chat. I don't even know if they're going to be reading the votes or the proposals. We saw people posting that all of the proposals had passed. I don't know if the actual official BMNR account posted something to that effect. Let me actually go check that out right now. And by the way, the reason why I'm talking over this fireside chat is as a result of this poll that I put out, which 300 of you have voted on. And I said, should we skip this guy or not? and 70% of you would rather hear me ramble than this guy ramble. I forgot his name. So there's nothing in the official Bitmine X account that confirms the vote has successfully passed. Thank you, ETF. Yes, please, guys, hit like and subscribe. Really appreciate it. Wolf of Dubai mentioned this. There was a couple of other people who mentioned that the votes had passed. All proposals had passed. Now, as a reminder, there's 4 proposals. Proposal number 2 is the 50 billion share increase. Proposals number 3 and 4. So proposal number 1 is to just have these people as the board of directors and have these people as the leadership team. So basically everybody who they brought onto the team, shareholders have to vote on that. So that's proposal number 1. Number 2 is the share authorization. And then number 3 and 4 are all bonuses and performance incentives for Tom Lee and also for the other leadership members. So it seems as though all have passed, but I haven't seen anything in this presentation, nor have I seen the official Bitmine account post that all have passed. Hopefully we're going to get something here once he's done talking to this guy. Like, I don't understand the order of events here of how we got to this place of them doing like a fireside chat with this guy before doing like a full year roadmap that's more in depth and more forward looking statements than what was given, and before doing a readout of what the actual votes were. So I don't know. I was hoping for something that was going to be more material. I was hoping for something that was going to be new, and I didn't get either of those, which is a very disappointing outcome, at least in my perspective. Look, guys, I'm always going to call it like I see it, and whether it's good, whether it's bad, I think right now it's not great. I still agree with the logic around passing a yes vote, even though all of management is going to get paid. They get a lot of cash bonuses and all this. They also do hold a lot of shares and they're incentivized to drive up the price. And as a result of a yes vote, you also gave them optionality to just go out and buy Ethereum like crazy. Like they mentioned, they have $1 billion in cash, and that $1 billion in cash, if they were just to buy Ethereum right now, would take them to about 75% of their target. Now, what does 10x that amount do for them? Because they can just dilute 10x that amount and they can get there so much faster, right? They can even accelerate, because if you're assuming a linear path to 5%, you can assume for them to get there sometime in April or sometime in March. But in fact, if they just go ahead and dilute, I wouldn't be surprised if next week we see them buying, $200 million worth of Ethereum, 200,000 coins or 300,000 coins, because over the past they've bought 100,000 tokens, 150,000 tokens, 50,000. I mean, last week was like 20 something thousand tokens. It was kind of sad because for much of the week, the stock was trading under MNAV. And so, of course, they mentioned that we've never diluted under MNAV. And so they just stopped buying, and they likely allocated some cash to buy some Ethereum as opposed to issuing shares. So that's really the question here is, are we going to keep trading above MNAV with the sentiment being where it is? Ethereum has to move, and largely has been moving a little bit as a result of this Clarity Act. Of course, we're going to get a macro shoot over the next couple of weeks as this Clarity Act makes its way to fully passing. And if Ethereum does go to 4,000, 5,000, well, all of a sudden BMNR is going to get dragged along with it, and probably at a premium, which means that these guys can dilute the hell out of investors in an accretive way. They can dilute above the MNAV, above a 1 MNAV. And as a result of that, they can accumulate all the faster. They can get to their 5% target way faster than ever before. And so I think that is still the plan. However, we knew that was the case, right? We knew that this vote was a non-starter for them to be able to do this. And we were hoping for some new news, which didn't come. Of course, we're going to be scanning this event to see if there's new announcements. But as of right now, there's nothing that's been material that was announced. Yeah, this is also interesting, right? Because we know that there was. Hold on just a second. We know that there was that video of like the GP essentially saying as a result of the behind the scenes activity, they think Tom Lee has a giant call option, and then he's going to feed into his own call option by buying ETH on the open market, and as a result of that, drive that call option higher. Now we don't know that that's the case. That's unconfirmed to be the case, but if it is in fact, then you can expect Ethereum to go much higher, and you can expect their accumulation to be much more aggressive in the coming weeks. So it's very possible, right? Because all of a sudden now Tom Lee is incentivized to drive up the revenue from staking, to drive up the revenue partially from the moonshots, and to drive up the value of BMNR. Now, how do you drive up the revenue from staking? Anybody? Well, if you increase the value of Ethereum, of course, staking rewards are made in Ethereum, not in cash. You can drive up the revenue from staking, right? They have 400 million in pre-tax income from Ethereum. Well, if Ethereum is double the price where it is, or triple the price where it is, all of a sudden they're doing revenue in the billions of dollars, and that's revenue. And if you look at the actual shareholder proposals, Tom Lee is paid on revenue that BMNR does. So he is incentivized to drive Ethereum up, and he is incentivized to acquire more Ethereum so as to stake it and gather more revenue as a result of it. So all of this plays a part, but again, we don't have anything material that we didn't know as of this morning when they announced the Mr. Beast news. And I agree with this, man. Like, I'm not gonna BS you guys. I think the presentation was not great. I think it didn't provide anything material. I think he was nervous AF, and overall, I think it was very poorly done. So we'll see. I mean, like, even the decision of like, why would you bring up this guy before somebody like a Sam Altman or somebody else? So we'll see. We'll see what comes after this, of course, and maybe it's going to be something interesting. Maybe they talk about the votes, but yeah, right now it's not a great look. I guess our expectations were maybe misaligned. I mean, BMNR is flat after hours. I wouldn't be surprised if this opened red tomorrow as a result of this the shareholder day. I mean, look, it was going to open super red if the vote was no, but even as it stands right now, I wouldn't be surprised if it opens red. I don't know. Like, the app is also interesting, but as well, I don't think it's something that I wouldn't have guessed in a million years. Like, if you were to talk to me yesterday and tell me like, hey, BMNR is going to partner with Mr. Beast and they're going to release their own app, I would have thought you were crazy, right? It's very like off the beaten path for what they can do, given the company's mandate and their nature of where they play. So yeah, I don't know what to tell you guys. I would have been taken to the woodshed by my boss for a presentation like this. Absolutely, man. I've been in presentations, and yeah, I think, especially one with high stakes like this, it was underwhelming to say the least. And it did also remind me, I may also made this comment during, I said, this is like Elon on an earnings call, just the bad jokes and the stumbling, their way through. And I never knew Tom was so awkward. I've only seen him in CNBC interviews, but yeah, I mean, nobody can doubt that he's been largely brilliant. I think that's why many people followed him into BMNR and still do, quite frankly. Partially him, but also partially the fact that they're bullish on Ethereum. But yeah, I don't know that he is the best in front of an audience. I think having comments on the screen is going to prove to be a mistake, but it's fine. Yeah. This is also an interesting thought. So let me talk about this for a second. This user mentioned this halfway through the stream. ETHZilla was the only, or one of the two only DATs, digital asset treasury companies, that sold their Ethereum over the last quarter. And they did so because they were trading so ridiculously under the net asset value. So when you add up all the Ethereums they held, they were trading for pennies on the dollar. And so they sold some of that Ethereum to buy back more shares. Now, that's not great because that sends the wrong signal. Because if I'm buying you as a treasury for Ethereum, I don't want you to be selling your Ethereum. So they were in between a rock and a hard place. One interesting avenue is, now that we have this 50 billion share authorization, you could have BMNR making acquisitions in the space. Why would they do that? Well, if a company is trading for under 1 MNAV, and BMNR, let's say, is trading for 0.95 or 0.98, they don't want to dilute themselves. They can just buy like an ETHZilla, for example, that's trading for 0.1 MNAV or 0.25 or something, and they can proxy acquire all of their Ethereum and still add to their Ethereum stash while being themselves under MNAV. And I think that could be something that's material. All right, let's turn back to this. It seems as though this Vlad guy is off the stage. Oh, just kidding. They're back on the stage because.
Yeah. So it looks like there's a couple questions here.
Let's listen to the
I
questions.
think they gave me the mic. So, Tom, you invited some elementary questions, and I'm going to, with both of you guys, I can't pass this up asking this question. And so, as I talk about crypto with friends and talk with everybody that I come in contact with, I cannot elaborate and explain this. So, my question is about how the value flows to the token that we all hold through BitMine and through ETFs and as we hold our own tokens. So my question is, I understand, Vlad, with a level 2, as you face the customer, value can flow to you as you satisfy customer needs. I understand in Bitcoin, digital gold scarcity will increase the value. It's with Ethereum, from having utility on how the value flows to the token that we hold. And so would love to hear, with the two of you on stage, this has been a burning question of mine.
Do you want to take a stab first? Or?
Sure, I'll take a stab and then you'll give the real answer, right? But I think I think the way I think about it is pretty simple. Like, Ethereum is kind of the infrastructure layer, right? The security layer. It's like you can think of it as, again, if you look at the traditional system, like for the internet, like a Cisco, right? Or for cloud computing, like Amazon, AWS, something like that, right? So now there are applications on top of those layers, whether it's internet applications or financial applications, but there's still a lot of value accrued to the infrastructure. Like we pay a lot of gas fees to Ethereum every day. I mean, and yeah, it's true. Like, gas fees are coming down, but that also means, like, if you think about it in terms of supply and demand, right, that also means there are a lot more applications being built, and so there's actually kind of the net of it is positive. And so I think, like, if you look at traditional economy, like, it's not like all the value accrues to the user-facing applications and none to the infrastructure. In some cases, it's even split. In some cases, it's the other way around. So I just think there's a lot of value to be had, and having the right base layer to build on is really important.
Yeah, and I'm going to add to it. So I've been covering markets, equities, and now crypto, but equities for over 35 years. And of course, because I started when I was 2 years old. And then crypto for almost 10, okay? And I want to tell you that I meet a lot of people that are from top business schools, like HBS, and they build great models. And for instance, like, let's say they build a model for one of the mobile cellular companies I used to cover, including Alamosa Holdings, which David Sharbut is the founder of. And they do this and they go, Tom, this is the DCF. The stock is worth $5. And not a penny more, not a penny less, okay? And then I'll be like, oh, so you have a 10-year model. You have a discounted discount rate. You have a terminal multiple. You have assumptions for the growth of the business, the revenue per user, the customer acquisition cost, the depreciation or capital charge, interest rate assumption, tax rate. And like, so what's your confidence that you got all those 15 variables correct for each quarter for the next 10 years? And the guy's like, hey, I'm HBS. What are you talking about? But I'd be like, and then I've looked at it. Then why do stock prices do this when there's this model that like people only update like every 3 months, right? I think most people are really anchored to the view that they believe there's a tangible way to price an asset, and they get really stuck and then they miss everything. I'll give you an example. Gold. Gold's been amazing. Look at it. It's up 9% this year. So from the start of the year to now, it's worth 9% more. Did gold's usefulness go up by 9% in 15 days? Did gold sales go up? Do you know if you do a price to sales for gold, like the sale of gold in jewelry or for industrial use, it's like 120 to 1. You're paying like 120 price sales by gold. You tell that to a gold bug, they don't care. They're just buying gold, right? Okay, well, how about land? I mean, the biggest source of wealth in America is land ownership, okay? People have made money from land. I would like you to take a microscope and look at your land that you paid $5 million for, and if you look at it, there's worms and dirt. Why is it worth $8 million? It's because of where it is, right? Like, why is a square inch of Manhattan so expensive? It doesn't pay you anything. In fact, you have to pay taxes on it. Guess what? Why would someone tell me Ethereum's not worth anything if every real world asset's going to be built on it and all the L2s run on it and Wall Street built most of their tokenized products? And I've literally had the same HBS be like, Tom, show me the revenue model. Ethereum. And then they'll be like, look, I have my 10-year DCF of Ethereum. I can't get those things there without assumptions. I'm going to say my 35 years, I've never found those people make a lot of money buying stocks because they are anchored to their own reality. I think the reason Ethereum's going to go up is the same reason gold trades at 120 price to value. If Ethereum is literally the single blockchain where most of Wall Street builds, it's N equals 1. It's like the Palantir of stocks. It's like the Elon Musk. And if the next L1 has like 1/100th the volume, should they have the same economic model and you just apply the same multiple? I mean, it becomes, you can see like it doesn't make sense. By the way, I don't really know what Ethereum's model is 10 years from now. Nobody does. And so that's why I question why people are so sure they know what the price of it is today. I'm not trying to give you a non-answer, but I'm showing you that everyone's convinced that there is an answer to model, and I personally never seen anyone's model really work. Yeah.
Thanks very much. This is kind of a question relating to what Ethereum's model is in 10 years from now. Some people have concerns about crypto as a whole in relationship to developments with quantum computing, and quantum computing possibly being able to break blockchain encryption. So I think my first question is for you, Vlad, just any insights on that possibility and on that speculation. And my second question is for you, Tom, if BitMine is holding any strategy in that regard. Thanks.
Great. So I think that's an important question. I think kind of the cryptographic compute that you want to use needs to be like way ahead of what's possible to break. And but I think the Ethereum Foundation has started taking this very seriously already, and there's kind of there's kind of a plan to be way ahead by kind of decades. I think it's not an imminent. Quantum computing is moving forward. It's not. I think it'll still be 5-10 plus years before anything like that becomes more of a reality. But I think the Ethereum Foundation has done a really good job of like staying ahead of it. So that's to be honest, that's like one of the, because of things like that, that's one of the reasons why like we want to build on top of Ethereum, is because unlike other folks who are kind of maybe more focused on kind of day-to-day trends, like the Ethereum community thinks really long term.
Yeah, and what I might want to add is, and there's been a lot of conversations about this, if quantum threats develop, Ethereum is able to push new upgrades to either make quantum resistance or to really improve the security. And when people think about the risk of quantum, many crypto experts are really talking about legacy Bitcoin wallets that haven't been upgraded, because Bitcoin can develop quantum resistance, but the wallets have to be upgraded. And as you know, there's a lot of legacy wallets like Satoshi's Bitcoins. It's about a
Bro, all these slow Tanner jokes are freaking taking me out, man. It's, oh my god, it's so bad. Like, it's so bad I can't even be mad about it. I'm like, I can just laugh. It's just, oh, bro, it is brutal. I can't get enough though. It's just, it's like one of those bad movies that like it's so bad that it's good. I have to keep watching. Anyways, let's go back to this this epic answer.
Look, at the end of the day, BitMine can take proactive steps because we're a company, right? We're not a DeFi project, so we can invest, we can buy quantum protection, we could buy quantum stocks, we could seed quantum if we thought it would help Ethereum. So there's a lot of steps we can take. I think that's all the questions we can take.
Let's see what's coming up next.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tom and Vlad. I have a question for each one of you. First for Vlad, I'd like to know a little bit more about Lighter. Can you make an analogy for me as far as whether it's like a Robinhood in being able to trade it? It's a platform for trading, or is it a token that you trade? And then the question for Tom, would you give a breakdown on the revenues that BitMine would make on each of the component? The last component was you mentioned the staking, and we understand that. The other component has to do with Maven, which you had covered elsewhere, but you've not covered it here. I was wondering if you could state whether that is going to be significant and what part of percentage of revenue that it would contribute to BitMine as far as the Maven stake service itself.
Sure. So, yeah, I think the short answer to your question about Lighter is, it's all of the above. I mean, we do have our native token. We have trading infrastructure, and there's a front end to trade directly. Of course, other front ends can and have built on top of.
So just while he's answering about Lighter, because I don't think a large portion of the audience cares about that, we're going to stay and we're going to see what's coming up next. And if it's something interesting, we'll stick with it. If it's not something interesting, then we'll decide what to do from there. Maybe talk over it. I can go through a little bit of the Maven stuff. I do want to hear Tom's answer, though. And yeah, that comment was absolutely correct. He didn't give any update on Maven. So I just want to see when they're done answering this question, what's coming up next, and hopefully it's something interesting. Yeah, vote results, or maybe Sam Altman coming to pump it with an OpenAI partnership or something to that effect. Because this, I mean, man, it's yeah, this has not been great. Am I checked out after this top tier presentation? I can neither confirm nor deny that. I don't think I should comment.
With regarding to the breakdown of our 4 pillars, you know, if we give you that, we're giving you forward guidance. So that's why we kind of had to present it to you this way, which is just to give you guys an idea, and you can track us as the year progresses. But just keep that in mind. We've given you the framework.
Like, oh, man, come on.
So Marcy's going to come on stage, I think, and just give you a breakdown of the rest of the afternoon.
Okay. And thank you to everyone in the Bitmine family who joined us for our X stream. We have to thank our chairman, Tom Lee. Thank you, Vlad.
Yeah. Thank you, Vlad. Appreciate it.
And we got some
look at this
here.
Look at this guy.
Very excited. If you join us next door, we have a lot of fun chocolate fountains. We have sliders. We have DJ. We have great hats that you can add patches on. We have something great. Mr. Beast couldn't be here with us today, but he sends his happiness that we are on board as an investor, and his chocolate and his drinks. And
they're pumping the gift store
us across the hall. And again, thank you so much for your patience. Thank you for being a part of it. And we look forward to seeing you at the next annual shareholders meeting of Bitmine.
Yeah, thank you.
Is that it? Guys. Thank you, everybody, for watching Bitmine's annual shareholder day, the much anticipated. Wow, that was, I learned a lot. I don't know if you guys also learned a lot. Let me get this shit off the screen. Okay. Yes, that was, in fact, the entire presentation. Let's see where the stock is trading at. Yeah, the stock is pretty flat after hours. What is going on, man? Yeah, it does take a lot to make me speechless. This definitely did it, though. This definitely takes the cake. This was just something else. Bro, can you imagine if I actually flew to Vegas for this shit? Like, I'd be, you would see me in that crowd. What the fuck, Tom? Yeah, we didn't see Sam. We didn't see Vitalik. He pumped Mr. Beast's chocolate at the very end, and they said, we're going to sell hats at the gift store. So find the good. Okay, find the good. Look, at the end of the day, the vote is what matters, guys. If you want, a good show, put on Netflix or something. But if you want to actually have Ethereum go up, then vote yes for the proposal. I mean, we didn't even get final approval on how the freaking vote went down. I heard it from like 3 people on X. So I'm going to crash out, guys. I'm going to freaking crash out. Hold on. Let me look at the SEC filings because there must have been something. Okay, hold on. There is an 8K here. When did this come out, actually? Yeah, hold on. Yeah, Bitmine app. Well, like and subscribe, guys, because I definitely lost a shit ton of money on this one. This 8K says nothing on presentation. Did they have the vote results in the presentation? Well, that's the other thing, right? Like Tom's the chairman, and they put so much weight on the chairman. It's like, dude, they have an entire executive team. So you're telling me that Tom, I get it. He's the biggest name in the room. You're telling me that he's the biggest, like he's the best presenter as well. Like bring the CEO up there, bring somebody else to talk about these things. If not Tom, like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna say at this week's webinar update. It's gonna be something, all right. This was, yeah, I don't even know. Okay, hold on. Let me share my screen and let me show you guys what I'm looking at. So this was the SEC filing, the 8K that was filed earlier today. So you can see January 15th here. And basically this says on January 15th, they issued a press release announcing an investment. Oh, this is the Mr. Beast thing. Okay, so there's nothing around the vote. There's nothing around the vote. Oh, they do have, they do also have this, the presentation slides, but I don't think we got anything in these presentation slides that was material. Let's take a look here, actually. It's a lot of the same stuff that we've seen before. Yeah. Also, what is this font, dude? Is this like Arial? Like Google and other bets? Am I missing something here? Like there's like typos and like, look at this. It's like different fonts. Like that's a different font, and like this looks like a ransom note, like all stitched together. But okay, I don't want to, you know, shit on it too hard. I guess I'm still a shareholder at the end of the day. 4 pillars of growth. What is a MOMI market yield? Is that money market? Is that what that's supposed to say? Unless MOMI market is something that I don't know. Okay. Bro, they have it in like 3 slides, the MOMI market. You see this? Does this meeting convince me to sell? Well, I mean, I don't know. It definitely convinces me to cut significantly, so I don't have it as such a big chunk. Dude, what the like? What is this, guys? This is definitely okay. I think I know what happened. This is not their fault. This is probably you know, like when you export a presentation and then you don't have the font packages, so it like gives it normal Arial font. I think that's what this might be, because this is not what I saw on the slide. It looks, but ooh, hello. But they don't even tell us what's on the app. Bitmine works with community of stockholders. Bitmine brand is strong. Okay. Here we go. It just has like their shareholder stuff. portfolio, home, news, profile, and something more. Yeah, it literally has nothing, dude. Oh man, we're fucked. Maven launching early 2026. We know this. This is a slide from previous presentations. Bitmine Labs. Interesting. 2025 tokenization. This. Let's see if there's anything here that like they might have skimmed over. Nope. Just kidding, guys. There's nothing here that they might have skimmed over. Yeah. I don't think I've actually crashed out on a stream as hard as this one in like a long time. Actually, I was proud of myself for actually being professional and being, like I was like, oh, I'm maturing as a content creator. I'm not crashing out on streams. I'm not calling people names and stuff. And then you give me this. That was not a good presentation, guys. That was not a good presentation. I don't know what to tell you guys. Subscribe, I guess, if you want, or freaking unfollow me if you don't. I don't know, man. I don't even know. Yeah, look, okay. So jokes aside, we're gonna be fine. Ethereum is gonna go up. They're incentivized to make Ethereum go up. They don't single-handedly control the price of Ethereum. There is more adoption on Ethereum. Like, we're objectively seeing those facts, and we objectively know those to be true. More developers on Ethereum, and tokenization is all going to be on Ethereum. Stablecoins are all on Ethereum. So we're seeing the year-on-year progress on Ethereum from a builder's perspective and from an ecosystem perspective and from an accumulation perspective. All of these new ETFs, they all want to stake. They're going to lower the supply. So Ethereum is going to go up, okay? BMNR holds a ton of Ethereum, okay? I don't need BMNR to go to 500, I need it to go to $40, and I'm cutting half. Sorry, but I am. And I don't, at that point, really care about the app or anything else. This presentation was like god awful. Like, I'm sorry, it was. They're not great people facing. I don't know how to even say it in a nice way, man. I don't want to be mean, but I do think, like, I am bullish on Ethereum. I am bullish on the underlying ecosystem, and I think that will continue to do well. It's going to be interesting to see what happens after over the next week, because if that thesis is true, that they're going to be buying a ton of Ethereum, and if Ethereum goes up, then BMNR is going to go up. We should be fine, right? So yeah, I mean, yeah, like, he phoned it in. He could have done better. You would think, with how much they were pushing investors to vote yes, that they had like some crazy thing that they were going to announce. And in fact, you would think, with how many hints they were dropping, that they would have some crazy thing that they were going to announce, right? He was dropping like emojis and stuff and reacting with memes saying like, oh, we're going to pump it. And maybe they will. I don't want to, speak too soon, but I got mad at the HIM CEO for doing exactly the same thing. So I got to be fair, guys. And like, if this is what you're announcing, if you actually had something where you're like, oh man, this is going to be crazy and move the market, then I get it. You're building hype, you're building anticipation. But for you to be dropping a press release about Mr. Beast, and then when you're asked about your fucking roadmap, you say, I don't want to make forward-looking statements. It's like, what are we doing at the annual shareholder day, man? It's once like, what do we, it's a once a year, and this is your opportunity to tell shareholders what you're going to do this year. What is your roadmap? What's your plan? And they're like, well, we can't make forward-looking statements. We have to file a document. Like, file the frigging, like, anyways. That's just where I'm coming from. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean that the stock is doomed. That doesn't necessarily mean that Ethereum is doomed. That just means that these guys definitely can't, build up that hype that they were, or they can't follow through on that hype that they were building up. Does that lower my trust in management? I don't know. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're worse investors or that they make stupid decisions, but it's also not a good look, guys. It's not a good look. And especially like cracking up so many jokes when like most of the people holding this thing are down on their investment, like the vast majority. And after asking investors to authorize 50 billion shares, I'm definitely going to be reducing my position. Financially, it's not necessarily like a decision that I would say, hey, I'm going to be reducing my position because financially this doesn't make sense, because I do think that Ethereum is actually going to be a winner. And I think as a result, BMNR is going to be a winner. But one of the components, at least for me, is management and my trust in management. And I think, at this point, it's a little bit lower than it was before, because there was all hype and no follow through, because I felt sort of backed into a corner along with many investors on the share authorization. There was no backup plan. If this thing did not pass authorization, we would essentially be screwed because they wouldn't operationally have flexibility to do anything. And now they do. They do have authorization. So fundamentally, it's a good thing that they are authorized to dilute more, because we still have that baseline trust that dilution is going to be accretive. But from a taste in your mouth perspective, I don't think this presentation left the best impression, let's say, on people who were watching. And I agree, Johnny, there's absolutely no need to authorize that amount right now. I agree with that, which is also another reason why it sort of left a bad taste, because you felt like you had a gun to your head. It's either this amount or you sit on a bad investment for however long until they can make a new shareholder vote. So anyways, this was my unfiltered, raw, honest thoughts in the moment as I have them on BMNR's shareholder day. We'll see what happens, of course. BMNR just is flat after hours. I wouldn't be surprised if this thing turns negative after hours. I would bet money that it's going to open red tomorrow, but I hope I'm wrong on that. I hope I am. But again, I still have maybe a delusional trust that that there's going to be big purchases of Ethereum on the open market that's going to drive the price of Ethereum up, and it's going to be a virtuous cycle holding this investment. And I agree. Part of my disappointment is as a result of my expectations. But you know what? Those expectations were inflated by management, bro. If they were like, hey, this is just a vote that's passing, we're not going to be announcing anything, we're not going to talk about our roadmap, we're not going to talk about Maven, it's just a vote. guess what? I would have no expectations. So anyways, that's just my thoughts. You guys can share them, or you can have different thoughts. I don't know. I think objectively we can agree that the meeting was not great. And there was no forward-looking statements. There was nothing material. That doesn't break the thesis. And whether that breaks your trust in management, I think everybody has to make that decision for themselves. Am I selling all of my BMNR tomorrow? No. Am I going to be opportunistically trimming my BMNR heavily? Yes. And I just think that's that. And we still don't freaking have confirmation from the company around this vote. Am I missing some news that came out? I don't think so. I don't think so. And I don't know if there is still the event that's going on right now and they're just not streaming more fireside chats. But I'm trying to figure it, like I'm trying to find it on X of people who are still talking about BMNR. But okay, I think that is it for me. I don't think you guys want to see me crash out even further than I already am. I really appreciate all of you guys hanging around, and hope you enjoyed. Hope this was an enjoyable stream. Yes, this was a justifiable crash out, Nate. Thank you very much. And I'll let you know what I end up doing with my position. If you're not subscribed to the channel, then definitely consider subscribing. If I want to do YouTube full time, this definitely sets me back. But you know what? On a positive note, I got to get this negativity out of my system, man. On a positive note, I will have the BMNR weekly recap for you. I'll talk about this news. Just in, Goldman Sachs says it's spending a lot of time in crypto, tokenization, and stablecoins. I will talk about the actual accumulation from an Ethereum perspective and whatever news comes out between now and then. Thank you, Super Loomba, and who just subscribed to the channel. And that's it. Love you guys. Talk to you guys soon. And let me know what your thoughts are on X. And I'll share more with you on Saturday. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one.